Alright, hey guys, Fiddleferret here, and welcome back to another episode of Celestial Crossing. Sorry for my absence. I've just been busy, life stuff. It's not because I wasn't enjoying the game. I actually really wanted to get back, but I didn't really have time to record it, so I couldn't play it because I couldn't record it. I've been doing a bunch of house stuff, as my followers of you guys, some of you surely know. I'm getting really close on some of the house stuff. I just brought a mattress. I got a carpet coming in very soon, hopefully the next week or two, so in like 2 weeks probably. We're gonna be really close to moving in, so that's pretty exciting. But anyway guys, go ahead and keep going with the visual novel. A week passes and the two of us fall into an easy routine. We go to school together, eat together, and in the mornings before the sun is up, Nerith, I almost said Neither again, Nerith tosses me out of bed for training. It's getting almost frighteningly comfortable. I have to remind myself that things can't stay this way forever. For one, casting such extensive spells in school every day is obviously beginning to strain her magic. She spends longer and longer amounts of time meditating to keep her mana levels high, and I can't help worrying that she's reached the limits of what the max level warlock can do in the real world. She doesn't complain, ever. Nerith is many things, but not a whiner. Instead, she gets frustrated more often when she runs into things she's unfamiliar with. I barely managed to save my father's expensive expression machine from her wrath when she tries to make herself tea with it and spits out the bitter black beverage instead. All of the tantrums I translate to her simply wanting to get back home, and I can't entirely blame her. I'd love to send her back into the game, but the truth I'm confronted with is that I don't have the murkiest idea how to do it. I don't even know where to start looking for an answer. The looming failure makes me feel so guilty that I find myself keeping a steady supply of yakisoba bread on hand. That, and focusing all my energy into our training, is basically all I'm able to do to keep Nerith from going on a destructive rampage. The training itself isn't fun, per se, but it did satisfy me in a weird way. At this stage, it mostly consists of Nerith picking fights with muscular strangers on the street and goading them into fights with me. It kind of works, in the sense that I'm a lot more comfortable getting pissed off at her now. She even lets me argue with her sometimes without threatening to lop off my head.
Good. Now come at me like you actually fucking mean it.
Jesus, woman, chill out. You're too feisty. I rush forward, taking advantage of the space we've cleared in the center of the living room, and aim a jab at her face. I get about a hand's length away before she spins to the side, grabbing my wrist and squeezing hard. My eyes water in pain as pain shoots up my arm. With a harsh chuckle, she twists the limb at an angle and takes a short step back. Before I can wrap my mind further around the mechanics, she has me flat on the floor.
How does it feel getting thrown? What is this even, the 20th time today?
She gives a jeering scoff.
And you call yourself a man. You don't even have the balls to talk to that little girl you like next door.
Well, I mean, what do you call yourself? A woman? No, I don't think so. You're an elf. Jeez, them frickin' superior races. It's not fair. Woman. Elf lady. I lunge to my feet, infuriated, but with barely an effort. Nerith uses my forward momentum to sweep my legs. I go down on my front this time, and the elf wastes no time wrestling me into a headlock.
It's even more pathetic considering how much she wants you.
I stop struggling immediately. Perhaps worried that she might have accidentally killed me, Nerith jumps off, looking at me quizzically. How do you know? You've never even talked to her. She rolls her eyes before pointing at my own ears.
Elf, idiot. My natural senses are enhanced enough that I can pick up the pheromones of anyone around me.
I mean, do elves normally do that? I mean, this is an anime game. Of course they can. She wrinkles her nose a bit.
And you two put out enough that I gag a little every time you're in the same room.
I sit down on the arm of the couch, trying to digest this new information. It's no surprise to hear what my body does around Mika, but her? I don't think I believe you. Nerith snorts, affronted.
I don't care if you do or not. I can detect pheromones, and that's how I know you secretly liked it the whole time I ran around this apartment with no pants on.
Well, I mean, just saying, I don't have a problem with it. My face goes scarlet with humiliation. I'm only human, goddammit! I open my mouth to say something in my own defense, but a quick knock at the front door interrupts me.
I'm getting some water.
Nerith flounces away toward the kitchen as I unlock and open the door. I gulp, suddenly shy and flustered to see that it's none other than Mika-chan. She smiles warmly, holding a tray of what appears to be all my favorite foods. It's impossible to open my mouth. Speaking is unfathomable. What I can possibly say to her now that I know? Something in the air between us shifts, and I can't help thinking that she's noticed it too. Her smile turns almost bashful, and she drops her gaze subconsciously to the tray in her hands.
It occurred to me earlier while I was cooking that I haven't seen you in a few days. I got worried that you might not be eating well, so I brought this, hoping I might tempt you.
Pro tip, whenever a girl plays with her hair like that, she totally digs you. Pro tips from Ferret.
To eat, of course. The food.
Oh, that's what you wanted me to eat, was it? Her cheeks get visibly rosier, and I can't help finding this role reversal completely adorable.
Right, so this is...
Ready for round 2 yet?
Oh, Nerith. Oh, Nerith, that was not the way to phrase that. Oh, goodness gravy. Nerith comes strolling around the kitchen corner, slipping a glass of water casually. She pauses, taking in the scene before her with widened eyes for a second before glancing my way. Oh, right, she doesn't know that she's here, does she? For my part, I watched Mika with a rising sense of panic as she slowly mouths the words, "Round 2." My gut clenches. I can see her forming the wrong idea about my relationship with Nerith as she takes in how sweaty and disheveled we both are. Oh boy. Young love. Shit. This is probably bad. There's a moment where I'm almost sure Mika might cry, and I open my mouth to loudly deny everything, when she surprises us all by giggling instead. Still balancing her tray, she playfully nudges me with her elbow, the way she always does. I realize suddenly that I'm starting to hate when she does that. The action screams of artificially created distance, like she's keeping me from getting too close. Like she's trying too hard to convince both of us that we're friends and nothing more.
Finally got a girlfriend, huh? Congratulations. I thought it was never going to happen.
I hate myself. As she and Nerith formally introduced themselves to each other, I tried to calm myself enough to decide what to do. Assure her there's nothing between you and Nerith. Try and make her jealous. I don't really like either of these options, if I'm completely honest. Well, I don't know at this point. The problem is that at some point, which I really didn't expect, I've decided that I think I'm going to try to go the Nerith route, which I really did not expect. I figured I'd go for the teacher or Mika here. But like, you spend so much time at the beginning of the game with Nerith, she kind of grows on you, know what I mean? But the problem is, assure her that there's nothing between you. I really don't want to do that, because usually in a game like this, that's not the right way to go about this. But try to make her jealous. I don't see how that ends well on either side. But I'm gonna try it. I'm not confident, but I can't fully shrug off the irritation from earlier, and my smile goes comes across a little forced. Tired of her games, I reach out as if to put an arm around Nerith's waist. Nerith is just a friend. A very close, yes, save block. I hate that. Before I can touch her, however, Nerith halts me with a hard glare. She then very decisively slaps the back of my head.
Liar. As if you'd ever have a shot with me.
Then, with more friendliness than I even knew she was capable of, the warlock grins at Mika and introduces herself properly.
Useless over here is letting me stay for a few days until I figure out my living situation. He's not a bad guy when he's not trying to be macho and show off.
The two laugh, and I feel my face burn with embarrassment. This situation couldn't possibly get any worse, could it? Yeah, see, that's kind of the thing. I knew it wouldn't end. I mean, there was nothing good about that option. There was zero good. But the downside would have been that it would have put me down the Mika road.
Well, I suppose we can forgive him. He's such a dumb kid after all.
Ouch. Yup. Feeling my chances with Mika fly out the window, I'm tremendously relieved when she turns to go. Shutting the front door on herself, she throws her parting words over my head to Nerith as if I'm not even standing there.
That's a cute shirt, by the way. I have one just like it hiding in my closet
I
somewhere.
bet you don't. Well, I mean, I guess we can firmly understand that we definitely have closed the Mika road now. She leaves. The instant her footsteps retreat, Nerith punches me in the shoulder. Hard. Ow! What the hell?
Being manly isn't the same as being an ass, useless.
Okay, well, she hates us too now, so, yeah, that didn't really have the desired effect. With that, she gives me a haughty sniff and stomps off towards the kitchen, likely to partake in Mika's home cooking. Yeah, okay, maybe I should just gone with the other one. Jeez, with the feeling that I've been kicked repeatedly while down, I spend the rest of the day in moody silence. I log into Celestial Crossing that night on a whim. I haven't played since Nerith's arrival. You haven't? Why not? Have you even been trying to figure out how to get her home? That would have been like the obvious thing to do. It's like the first thing you try. For obvious reasons, so I'm not quite sure what to expect as the logo flashes briefly. Nerith's character doesn't appear on the login screen. I note with only mild surprise. With no trace of her left in the game, the question of how to get her back in her world seems even more daunting than before. Then there's also the depressing fact that, assuming she's stuck out here, I'll have to spend months building a new character from scratch. I lament briefly over all the gear I spent so many months raiding for. I wonder if the developers would credit me with all the gold I had in our inventory if I'd tell them the character somehow magically got out of their game. I snort at my own dry humor. Inspiration suddenly strikes me. Quickly, I dig out the badge I got from an upcoming convention and stare at it. I'd have to get Nerith one as well, but that shouldn't be too hard. A one-day pass for the Day Celestial Crossing panel should be enough. I remember how excited I was to hear that the developers of the game itself would be there. Now my pulse is pounding with the knowledge that I might finally have a shot at getting some answers. After all, who could know better about the lore of the game than the developers themselves? I surge out of my seat and rush into the living room where Nerith is busy putting the finishing touches on her armor. Great news! We're going to go see the developers of your game. They should have answers on how to get you back home.
Developers?
Yeah, think of them as a high authority on magic from your world. If anyone should know anything, it's them. I'm liking the sound of this panel more and more, this plan. After weeks of nothing, it feels like I'm finally doing something to help our situation. Nerith, on the other hand, looks less than enthused.
If you say so, I guess. Better than nothing.
But nothing, yeah. I realize that I've neglected to tell her the best part. Did I mention that you can wear your armor? Nice cosplay. The elf's ears twitch and her face breaks into a broad grin. She almost looks like her in-game self again.
Fuck yeah, let's do it!
Oh, Jesus, calm down! Nerith she's a bit 0 to 60 for me. Getting Nerith's badge in time for the convention is a hassle and a half, but we managed it somehow. The look of utter amazement at her face as we walk in is even worth the elaborate price. Almost.
Holy shit! Is that the Demogorgon just walking around?
Her eyes actually physically bug out of her head slightly.
And what is a Knight of Sparrowkeep doing calmly chatting him up? Those goody-goody shield-wearing twats give me a hard time.
Jesus, Nerith! We gotta work on your language! Why are you... Oh, I thought for a second there I looked at the screen, I thought she was like holding her breast, but no. She's not. What are you doing? Nerith pauses with her fingers halfway through a spell weaving and curses loud enough to attract attention when the magic fizzles. She turns to glare at me before flattening the expression on her face. Her angry retort comes out sounding more like a question.
Killing and looting?
Oh. Yeah, about that. You can't just... No. Look, those are people in costumes. Remember when I explained what cosplayers were?
Oh, so these are real ones?
Yes.
So that means I won't get any XP for slaying them?
Well, I mean, I don't know that for certain. You will not gain any XP from going on a mass murder spree, okay?
Oh.
Her look of disappointment says it all, really. I take the homicidal elf with me toward the nearest information kiosk to pick up a map of the convention center. On the way, we've stopped several times by desperate Celestial Crossing fanboys who want to pose in pictures with Nerith. They fall all over themselves complimenting her amazingly accurate and resourceful cosplay.
The next fool that comes up to us wanting to flash some bright-ass light in my eyes gets punched in the face, useless.
I mean, I really don't blame you. That is the downside of conventions.
Fair warning.
Duly noted. I note the tense set of her shoulders and how her glower has evolved into something that looks wrongly unstable. It's a complete turnaround from the wide-eyed awe she expressed earlier, and I try to phase my concern casually. I don't think it would bother you so much. You've had to deal with worse at school, haven't you?
That was nothing like this.
She mutters her answer sourly, but before I can answer, a girl dressed as a dark elf comes barreling toward us and gushes over how natural Nerith's body paint looks compared to hers. It isn't until she asks what Warlock used to make her ears, the pieces click together in my head. The muscles in Nerith's arms suddenly flex, as if she means to take a swing at the shorter girl, who, by some miracle, realizes that she might be in danger and stops talking abruptly. The girl shoots me with a nervous look, especially when the real-life elf in front of her begins to tremble slightly. I think my friend here is just thirsty. We're gonna go hunt down a vending machine. Excuse us. I take Nerith's arm and guide her toward the section of the building where I know the games panel is being held. I'm breathing slightly harder than usual by the time we reach the room and turn to face her, fully expecting to have my head bitten off. Instead, I'm greeted by the most shocking thing I've seen since. Well, since a half-naked elf warlock dropped on my lap. Nerith looks upset, and not in her usual rage-fueled way. Her eyes are shut tight, as if to desperately block everyone and everything out. Her hands are even clenched over her ears in a gesture so disturbingly visible that I hear myself talking to her in a low voice, the way one might speak to a concerned animal. Nerith, are you okay? This isn't just about the crowd, is it? Her eyes pop open and find mine immediately, looking angry and just a little bit frightened.
What the hell do you want me to say? That you were right and my world has always been a stupid fucking illusion created by other useless people like you?
Oh, that really does kind of make sense if I'm honest. It would be a pretty shocking revelation to find out that, well, you aren't really real? That you were created by other people? That would be something. She spits the word "you" out like it's a curse, but her gaze isn't on me anymore. Instead, she's scowling up at a decorative banner for the game, taking up most of the wall behind us. Moodily, she crosses her arms in front of her and keeps staring over my shoulder.
I know that I don't fit into your world very well, and you've always been really aware of the fact that I don't belong here because of it. But to me, this just felt like another raid. A weird, mostly boring one, but seeing these idiots dressed up like archdemons and mages like it's nothing.
She shakes her head despondently, facial features turning sad.
Those clothes mean something in my world.
Damn, that's kind of deep and sad. Her eyes turn upward and she stares hard at the ceiling tile over her head. It takes me a long minute to realize that Nerith, tough, badass Nerith, is trying not to cry.
Hikaru, am I real?
Whoa! Okay. Wow, this took a turn. That's a little tough. This music's not helping me. Her voice is small. Smaller than I've ever heard it. And for a moment, I'm not sure what to say. I have a feeling that this is a very important question to Nerith, and I have to take my time thinking of an answer. Tell her that she is not real. Explain that she is real. I can't really imagine right now telling her she's not real. I don't know in what situation. I guess the only situation you tell her she's not real is that if you were going Miki route and you... So yeah, I guess if I was trying to go teacher route, I would probably say no to both of them. But no, I'm not telling her she's not real. Jeez, I hesitate because the truth is, I honestly don't know. I don't feel at all qualified to be helping her through this existential crisis of hers. There's no straightforward answer, so I decide to go with pure gut instinct. You're living and breathing and standing right next to me. So far as I'm concerned, you're definitely real, Nerith. Screw what anyone else says. I offer her a weak smile, hoping that my words didn't make an already bad situation worse. Nerith looks at me with a mixture of annoyance and affection that only she could ever pull off. She's spared having to voice a reply at the line finally starts to move ahead of us, and we're led into the panel room. We take our seats as far up front as we can manage, which isn't all that far, honestly. The panel turns out to be more of an extended Q&A session than anything else. I wait for my chance, and when the game dev opens up for discussion to the audience, my hand shoots up into the air before anyone else's. Naturally, I'm ignored in favor of a cute blonde cosplaying as a succubus. True that, my friend. The rest of the panel goes by like this. I raise my hand, but I'm still just one person out of 100. I shoot a pointed look over at Nerith, hoping that she can throw a little bit of her magic around, but she isn't paying much attention. She's slouched in her chair, staring at the back of the head of the guy in front of her and looking pretty perturbed. Her concerns from earlier are clearly still bothering her. Try and comfort your friend. Continue to try to get your questions answered. Ooh, okay. Interesting. You know what? Because I'm a cheaty scumbag, let's save here. 'Cause I have a feeling this decides whether we win or lose here. Honestly, I feel like this is going to be like a situation of, I can try to get their attention, blah blah blah, But, you know, it might not work and then Nerith's sad. This is a chance to get close to Nerith. Let's go for it. I lower my arm and gently poke her in the side. You okay? Her face immediately twists into a snarl and she opens her mouth to unleash a torrent of verbal abuse. Before pausing, obviously thinking better of it, she looks up at the ceiling again for a moment and I feel like shit for saying anything at all. She's clearly not okay.
I'll be fine once we talk to these idiots and get out of here.
Her voice is strained, but quiet. I rack my brain for something else to say, but she shoots me a look out of the corner of her eye that says something along the lines of drop it or else. I nod silently, waiting until the next call for questions before raising my hand again. I probably should have known better anyway. Nerith has only ever interacted with me on her own terms, now that I think about it. She's fine with me comforting her when it's her turning to me, but apparently my offering it is a step too far. As much as we've been together, the fact that we've only known each other for a few weeks has never been more clear. With that in mind, I realize that the best way to support her at this point is to just focus on getting the job done we came here for. 60 agonizing minutes later, the Q&A comes to an end. Okay, so I would assume that was the wrong one. I lower my arm in defeat, trying to shake some of the life back in my numb fingers. What the hell do we do now? I fully expect Nerith to make some sassy comment on how I can't get anything done, but instead she simply scrunches her nose in irritation before getting out of her seat and making a beeline for the backstage exit. It's all I can do to scramble after her. We reach the edge of the stage, fighting our way through the crowd of people moving in the opposite direction before we're stopped by security. So close. We're literally only a few feet away from the developers, but Nerith is evidently done with all the tomfoolery. Her hands fly through the motions of the now familiar spell. She mutters a low incantation, and this time I can actually taste the electricity in the air. It's like licking a battery, and not that I've ever done that. The developers and security guards all freeze what they're doing, eyes glazed over. We're able to walk right up to them without any further trouble, and I glance around nervously to make sure everyone else is out of earshot. Hello, we had a question for that.
Is it possible for a gateway to open between this world and the world of the...
She cuts herself off, struggling to say the word, and I take pity on her. Game? The devs are obviously not so far out of it that they don't immediately start laughing at us.
What are you guys talking about? There's no such... I mean, you guys know this shit isn't real, right?
Nerith stiffens, and even I flinch at the harsh words. As if the elf wasn't already questioning her existence, this was the verbal equivalent of pushing a burn victim into a hot bath. A very hot bath. Uh-oh. Nerith turns on her heel and marches away, leaving me to deal with the brainwashed devs on my own. Luckily, the spell doesn't wear off immediately. Sadly, however, I now have to worry about finishing up this discussion quickly, since there's no telling what kind of trouble a distressed elven warlock can get up to at a gaming convention. There's magic within the game itself that opens doors to different dimensions. So, is it really such a dumb question? I get a high enough level magic user, and they can even get to a different plane of existence, right? So, in actuality, did one of you stumble onto a gap in the time-space and turn it into a game? Maybe? My voice fades out at how stupid I sound. This was the kind of idiotic ideas, the grand poobah of embarrassing moments. And please answer without laughing. Obediently, the developing team holds in its mirth, and they shake their heads one by one.
No way, kid. Celestial Crossing is something we made up. It's completely fictional.
My shoulders slump, and I play my riskiest card out of desperation. Hopefully they don't remember this conversation when the spell wears off. Okay, well, is there anything else you can think of that might explain how a character from the game could theoretically get over into the real world? With amused expressions, the devs look at each other and shrug. I wilt in disappointment until one of them appears to entertain the idea for a second longer than the others.
Well, if we're talking about keeping this within the realm of fantasy...
Yes.
And fiction.
Right. I impatiently try to draw the words out of him faster, wanting to go check on Nerith, but also needing anything to show her our efforts today.
Well, our magic system in the game is pretty complex, but in theory, any spell can be reversed under similar conditions. That's why shield spells and spell breaches take the same number of turns and are learned under the same school of magic.
The lead developer shrugs and smiles, and I realize he's making all of this up on the spot. Still, it does make sense, and it's more information than we had. Got it, and thanks for answering my question. Big fan, by the way.
Yeah, we kinda figured.
I turned to go, feeling hopeful that maybe this whole enterprise wasn't a complete waste of time. I'm in such a hurry to find Nerith, I almost missed their parting words as I ducked towards the exit.
If you think of the portal between worlds as a door, then it probably opens both ways, kid. That's the best answer I can come up with without a fresh coffee.
I mull over this imagery with more seriousness than it probably deserved before mentally storing it away for later. First, I need to make sure Nerith doesn't go on some kind of rampage. I scan the hallways outside the panel room, but the area is thick with gamers and nerds as far as the eye can see. Finally, I decide to make my way over to the information kiosk, hoping that Nerith might remember it and return if she gets lost. I only make it about halfway when I nearly collide with the woman herself.
Oh, good, I found you. Look what I got.
She proceeds to shove several large convention store bags full of super bread into my arms. The hell?
Yeah, there was this stupid contest or something, and they really loved my armor. Because really, who wouldn't? And then they offered me some useless prize.
I repeat her words dumbly, a bad feeling rising in the back of my mind. A useless prize, you say?
It was some of that flimsy paper currency you're always whining about. 60,000 yen or something like that.
Oh, that's a lot. That's like $6,000, isn't it? 60,000 yen? You walked away from?
Of course not. I just waved my fingers, threw a little magic at them, and convinced them to award me something useful instead.
Oh, God. She waves one of the bags in front of my face in a tempting manner, smirking with victory.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Nerith. It's great. Nerith spends the next few minutes trying to get a response out of me, I think. I'm not sure what happens next, to be honest, as I'm more or less passed out of thought of Nerith turning down free money. Free money that I could have used to fix all the shit that she broke in my house. Still, at least she doesn't seem depressed anymore, triumphantly nibbling on one of her prizes. That is true, she got over that really fast. So maybe we didn't, maybe that, I thought that was wrong for sure, but I'm wondering maybe if we really tried to get the devs' attention, maybe we wouldn't have actually been able to continuously ask them questions, because we probably would have got one question. So maybe that was the smart thing. I don't know. I'm still not convinced, but we'll find out. But anyway, guys, this is going to do it for this episode, and I will see you back on the prowl next time.